Being an entrepreneur seems to be the cool thing to do these days, especially with all of these gurus who paint this as the path to easy money, fancy parties and private planes, but no one really stops to talk about the other side of the story, about how being an entrepreneur is actually a pretty lonely and isolated journey where you're constantly being pushed to your absolute limit. I think a big part of the reason why this side of the journey is unspoken is because of all of the pressure on social media is putting entrepreneurs in this mentality where they feel like they have to have it all figured out, where so often they're putting on this false facade, convincing everyone else that everything's okay and they're faking a smile even though they're falling apart inside. And I remember one time in particular when this happened to me. It was a few years ago and I was gearing up to do this big launch and I was so excited. I'd worked weeks endlessly to make this happen. Everything was going according to plan and this was going to be the big turning point in my business. But then when the launch happened, everything that could go wrong went wrong. I had loads of issues with the technology behind it. A few things in the marketing just didn't seem to work and I didn't get anywhere near as many sales as I expected. And for the next few days, I remember telling my family and my partner, oh, it's just a few minor setbacks. Once I get this working, everything will be fine. I was faking this smile, even though internally I was panicking. I had no clue what I was going to do. And I remember a few days later just standing in my kitchen and all of a sudden it hit me. I just collapsed in the corner and I completely fell apart. It felt like the weight of the world just came tumbling down on top of me and I've no clue how long I was down there for. It felt like an absolute eternity and I remember just thinking, I have no clue what I'm going to do from here. I don't know what to do next. And eventually I managed to shake it off. I managed to stand up, to get myself together and refocus on what I was doing. But looking back in that moment, I really had a choice. Like, the easy thing to do would have just been to make the decision that, do you know what? I'm out. I'm done. I'm going to go and get a job. I'm going to take all of the stress and pressure off myself and I'm going to live a normal life. But in that moment, it really didn't feel like I had a choice to make. It was simply one of those things with, this is what it is. I need to pick myself up and I have to carry on. And this is why I believe that you have to be a special kind of crazy to be an entrepreneur, because you're basically signing yourself up for a life where every single day you're being punched in the face, you're smiling and you're coming back for more. Because even when things are going right, something at any moment could go wrong. And this is why you're constantly on this emotional roller coaster where one moment you're on top of the world and the next you're falling apart. And this is why I really think we need to be more open talking about this issue, because I speak to so many entrepreneurs who are suffering in silence, who are in this constant battle with the anxiety, the stress and the pressure pulling them apart, yet they're faking it. They're convincing that they have everything figured out. And it would be easy to think that this is just a problem for new business owners, when, if anything, the more successful you become, the bigger this problem becomes amplified. Because when you add on all of the stress, the pressure, the putting out fires, the dealing with conflicts, managing teams, constantly worrying about keeping yourself afloat, I've seen so many business owners who are turning over multi-millions in revenue, yet still, inside, they're filled with doubt, they're controlled by fear, and they're being pushed to their absolute limit. And this is why I think we really need to be having a bigger conversation about this, because so many people are buying into this delusional picture that once you start a business, everything's going to be easy, you're going to make a mountain of cash, and you're going to live this life of freedom and success, when actually what you're signing up for is a life of uncertainty where every single day you have no clue what's actually going to happen. And that's why, above all else, what'll make or break your success as an entrepreneur is your mindset. Because if you're not able to stay at the top of your game, to keep yourself under control when everything goes wrong, your business is never going to work. because you're not going to show up at your best on sales calls. You're not going to present yourself properly in your marketing. You're not going to be able to lead your team or make the right decisions. And this is why my Unstoppable Entrepreneur program was developed out of the idea of helping other business owners finally develop the mentality where they can become unstoppable by empowering them to master their emotional state rather than spending their days on a roller coaster ride of ups and downs. Instead, they can stay calm, focused and in control regardless of the challenges thrown their way, where rather than falling into a self-destructive cycle where they procrastinate, they overthink, they doubt themselves and get controlled by fear, instead we can level up their way of thinking so that they can have the confidence to take the actions that they know that they need to take to create the life that they want. Because what I found is that by doing that, ultimately what we can do is put them back in control of their life, their business and their success. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced when running your business? What do you think about this whole idea of entrepreneurs feeling like they have to pretend they've got everything together? And what challenges have you seen other entrepreneurs facing when it comes to running their business and mentally and emotionally keeping it all together? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Byron Morrison. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.